I myself am Ukrainian American. I was born in Kharkiv in 1998. My parents immigrated to Baltimore, Maryland when I was 6 months old. And up until college, I spent all of my summers going back to Kharkiv to spend the summer with my grandfathers. So it was in many ways a second home to me.
And Mark and I met as roommates at Cornell University and quickly became best friends. And so Mark wanted to share his home with me and brought me on a trip in 2018 to visit Kharkiv in Ukraine. And it became somewhat of a home for myself. And I fell in love with the people. I fell in love with Mark's family and had a wonderful time there. Diving into what was our 1 week mission.
Yeah, those first 72 hours of the invasion were extraordinarily painful. I was watching my city being swallowed, and we had to do something. I had a language skill set. Dylan and I worked well together, and we came for a week. And a year later, we have raised over $600,000 from more than 2,000 incredibly generous, kind, and loving people around the world who have wanted us to succeed, who have done everything we really feel together with us. We have built a wide network in Ukraine, the United States, and Poland, partnering with a variety of organizations.
With the intention of really focusing ever since day one, ever since a year ago today, on the immediate needs of what the people of Ukraine who are suffering needed the most, and being able to get what they needed to them as quickly as possible. So diving deeper into our humanitarian efforts, in Ukraine, they encompass roughly three primary focus areas. Medical, which include frontline casualty needs, chronic care medication, supporting medical centers, regional hospitals, field hospitals around Ukraine. Secondly, supporting people. These are refugees, Ukrainian refugees in the EU, internally displaced persons who have had to leave their homes and move elsewhere within Ukraine, as well as evacuating citizens from Russian-occupied territories. And thirdly, a focus of our humanitarian work has been on infrastructure. Our primary focus has been in the Kharkiv region, in the region where Mark was born and where his family was from, focusing on winterization efforts, helping with window as well as structural repairs.
It has been a year, and we are very grateful that we've had some flagship accomplishments in these focus areas. Our primary operations are centered in Kyiv, here in central Ukraine, which is where we're calling in from right now. Kharkiv, the city that I was born in, that I grew up in, that was always near and dear to our hearts, Dylan and I, and Mariupol. From a medical standpoint, we have helped over 3,000 chronic care patients to receive their chronic care medication when it is inaccessible or very difficult to afford. We've procured and delivered 5 ambulatory and other vehicles that have helped in evacuation. Going back to Mariupol, in April, we had a unique privilege to evacuate civilians from occupied territories in Mariupol and Berdyansk and bring them to, at the time, still free areas in Zaporozhye and further in Dnipro. And in Kharkiv, we've just completed our pilot project with windows, repairing 14 apartments in the region, in the city itself. So we would be remiss to not mention the fact that Dylan and I are just two people, and we have accomplished everything that we have because of the support and generosity of others in the United States, but also here in Ukraine. We work very closely with a fund called Reconstruction Development of Ukraine here in Kyiv, and in Kharkiv with Звичайні люди, ordinary people. And something else that is worthwhile to mention, and sort of the stark reality of the war, is we have tried to help as much as we could in places like Mariupol. But after Russia formally annexed Lugansk, Donetsk, Zaporozhye, and Kherson, and Mariupol fell fully to the Russian Federation, it became too dangerous. It was already a risk to the life of our drivers, but at this point, Mariupol is for a temporary short period of time under Russian occupation, and so we cannot help there anymore.
this mobile medical clinic. We really want to try and procure another one. It has been helping so many people actively on the front lines, people that are getting hurt, civilians, casualties, that, people just being caught in the crossfire, that it has made such a tangible difference in the lives of countless numbers of people that we really want to try our best to secure one.
I actually got a message from the neurologist this morning asking about status on this, but there's a need for a life-saving surgical microscope that is used in neurotrauma, in intensive use here in Kyiv. And it's one thing to sort of, pool money together and buy suturing equipment, but it's something very different to buy a microscope that is critical, but costs, something like a luxury vehicle. On the people side, to describe the situation of children in Kharkiv right now, there's no school. The military, the police are very, they're very serious about not allowing too many children in any one building. So we've gotten in touch with one of my father's friends who's been a teacher for 20 years, teaching students ages 6 through 10. And she reached out to me, and she was just personally really alarmed by the tremendous lack of safe, organized socialization opportunities for young children. So the idea is to create some kind of, not school accredited, but extracurricular programming, whether it be culinary arts or language learning or anything sort of intellectually stimulating and engaging for students. The average teacher stipend in Ukraine is about $300 per month. So we sort of took 6 teachers who would be willing to be volunteers. We've gotten in touch with the dean of one of Kharkiv's largest universities, one of its most famous universities, Kreynovich University, and they have very kindly offered us space in their university, which has a shelter. But if we would be able to do this, then we would be able to provide children an alternative to just remote Zoom and rather unproductive time spent on the playground, just because there's really nothing else. We led this pilot project with the apartments, and it was quite successful. Someone learned basically about our pilot program with the windows, and they were like, oh, you guys are the ones who fix windows. Kharkiv's maternity ward, the first maternity ward, has this issue. And again, competing budgets and priorities, they cannot repair them. So we'll be speaking with the head of labor and delivery there next week, and to sort of come to a final conclusion on what that actual price would be to help them.
Yeah, and so as Mark was mentioning, we've been able to repair, help successfully close 14 apartment pilot programs, helping a countless number of people in the Kharkiv region. It's roughly $1,500 per 1 to 2 bedroom unit, and we hope to continue this program as it's been able to really help a lot of families and a lot of people.
We really view our role as I don't know, there are a lot of really great organizations to support, and the big ones are doing a lot of great work, but it is, I think, a unique opportunity to really help someone. I think that, we've been focusing on making that the experience, connecting Ukrainians and Americans to sort of to help vicariously without governments.
And if you want to get involved, and if you think of a way in which you can help us through maybe perhaps speaking at an event at your company, or if you want to do a fundraiser on the behalf of our organization, please feel free to reach out to both Mark and myself at our emails, which are on the screen. And this is actually a QR code that if you scan on your phones right now, will give you all the information about how to donate to our cause. We really want to emphasize your ability to help us, your ability to really make an impact here and enable the continuance of all the incredible work that we've been a part of. Everything we've done here would have never happened without each and every one of you watching this.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have been here for more than a week, let alone a year. And this has been one of the most incredible experiences for Mark and myself. And we feel so privileged that we get to continue this work on behalf of all of you in helping Ukrainians and helping one life at a time.